Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Thursday, December 12th, 13th. How about the 14th? Wow, this month's going fast. Hopefully, everybody's ready for Christmas. All right, so I want to go through some of the comments and also want to bring up something on one of the videos that I want to stress with you, and a hodgepodge of other things, but stay with us. All right, see you in a minute. So let's start off with a few things. One is the video that I did on, where I took the hard line on people drinking and doing drugs and the family involved. YouTube thought it was a little harsh, I guess. And that's how we have to be sometimes. It's kind of a wake-up call, right? So if you're out there and you have a drug or alcohol problem, please get help. There's AA with the 12 steps, Alcoholics Anonymous. There's NA, Narcotics Anonymous. They have step programs. You have your local church. You can substance abuse. There's so many things that are out there that are available to you if you decide you want to quit. And people make excuses for our actions. And I come from a place of I don't know how it feels to be you, because I do. All right. And my family took second. Everything took second to my drinking. And it was the hard liquor. It was a way for me to cope, I guess. But what most people don't realize is when you do drugs and alcohol, they're a depressant. And if you're trying to avoid problems or just to get away from them, you're just creating more for yourself. And most people out there can't do it on their own. They have to have some help. And they have to be serious to want to change. But the video is more geared towards the family members that keep trying to help their child, their friend, their spouse, partner, what have you, and nothing seems to work. And we find excuses for the behavior. I'm just saying, you're not going to get any better if people are making excuses for you, right? We as a society need to stop making excuses for bad behavior. If I were an a-hole, that's bad behavior. And the person, maybe you, that's around me, says, look, you're a total a-hole. I'm not going to hang with you anymore, and you go on your way. That's what most people do. I mean, the person can stand there and try to change me, but unless I'm willing to change, I'm going to continue being an a-hole, right? I'm not. But I'm just using that as an example. And I'm looking all around, and all this society is doing is making excuses for things that should not be acceptable. Call it the way it really is. If there's smash and grab, theft, arrest them. If you're rioting and burning cop cars and anything else, arrest them. That's bad behavior. Don't give them an excuse of why that they're doing it. There is no excuse. There are ways to express your outrage and express how you feel without doing damage or theft to people's properties, right? What I can tell you guys, and anybody here that has been in that situation of having a drug or alcohol problem, and they've been sober for some time, is that nobody's going to change us until we decide to do it ourselves. And that's, a hard thing for the family is they can't figure out why you're choosing this over them. And this destroys a lot of relationships, a lot of families. It really does. I wish that if somebody chose one of the two, that it would not have to affect or hurt people around that person while it's going on. But that's never the case. You got a parent that is an alcoholic and unwilling to change, depending on how bad, I guess there's steps. The whole family suffers. If it's one of your siblings or one of your kids, you feel like you need to help them, and no matter what you've tried, it doesn't work. It's not going to work until they get the message that, this is it. You need to get help. End of story, right? I'm not giving you money. I'm not bailing you out. I'm not doing any of the above. But today's video is more geared towards if you do have a problem and you are looking to quit and you've tried everything that you can think of and it's not working, okay? There's just 3 different ways to quit. Okay? Girls, the first one is you decide on your own that no matter what, you're going to stop. You're going to stop today. Because you can't take any more. Because it's killing you. And you make it a personal endeavor. Your most important thing on your plate is, I am not touching it again. Now, doing it that way, I caution you. I would rather see you get into a rehab facility or work with one of the local hospitals that helps. Because you will go into the shakes. You will feel like you're dying, and you could die from the alcohol and drug dependence your body is screaming for. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy. Girls, come on. It's not easy at all. And that's why a lot of people, if they aren't 100% committed, fail. Because I had a friend once tell me, once a drunk, always a drunk. Once a drug addict, always a drug addict. No matter how clean and sober you are, it's one step at a time, as Randy said. One step, one day at a time. Not 2 weeks out. You're working on today. And that's all you can do. The second way is to start going to meetings. And when I say meetings, a lot of times just check your phone book, or most places have got a listing for local, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and NA meetings for drugs, hard drugs and stuff, and start going to meetings. And you're going to find you're with people that are in the same boat. But by going to those meetings and starting off, you're a new one. They are not going to let you do it alone. They're going to be there to support you, and they will give you whatever help they feel is necessary. And if you think it's going to be a coddle show, I got news for you. Because the last thing we need is to be coddled and felt sorry for. And that's the worst thing we can do, is feel sorry for ourselves, okay? But start going to the meetings and talk among people that are going through the same thing at different stages. Some may have 30 years in that meeting. I can guarantee you they still remember back to the time they quit and how hard it was. Now, depending on how bad you are, you may have to check into a rehab, or a up in our area, we don't have a rehab center. We have a, part of the hospital where, to get you through the worst of it, and that's like the first week, you'll go into like a hospital setting of where they're monitoring it, and they're looking and making sure that you're coming through that a lot less than what if you did it on your own, because they have other medications they can give you to help ease some of the side effects of withdrawal. So that's the second way. The third way is you get arrested, get tossed in jail, and you get clean and sober there. And a lot of jails also, work with their local hospitals or their, drug counselors and stuff like that, so that they're making sure that you're safe as well in a hospital, or in a correctional facility. Okay, you're not the first ones come through the door that is on drugs or alcohol, nor will you be the last one. But those are the three that I can think of. And they also have support groups for families dealing with, a parent or a sibling or a child, with a drug or alcohol addiction. And it probably wouldn't hurt just to go talk among other people that have been there for a while, and you'll find a lot of stuff in common that's going to help you realize that it's not you, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything to cause your parents to drink, or your brother or your child to drink. No. And you're going to find out when you go to those meetings of they've tried the same thing you've been trying and had no luck. But they will be supportive and will help you along the way until you get yourself in the right place. And I urge you to continue on if you can with those programs, because you'll be the next one helping the next person that walks through the door, right? And sometimes it's just, don't say anything, just listen. Just let them get it off their chest. All right. So that's all I want to say on that. You know, if you're having problems, you're not a bad person. Get help. And if you're a family member of a person going through it, and you're struggling with your day-to-day stuff, seek out these groups and meetings. Same thing with you if you're struggling with the addiction. I encourage you to seek out going to an AA meeting or an NA meeting, whichever. And some of them will work together, but they're two different programs. And they're good programs, okay? So let's stop that right there as far as that's my input. And if I have offended you in the prior video, I apologize for that. But sometimes you need a wake-up call. And if I can help one person get that wake-up call, worth the video. All right, so let's get on to the other stuff. All right, so what I want to cover today, is in order for you as a business to stay relevant, you have to constantly be willing to change and hopefully see things on the horizon that are going to be coming towards your business so that you can either change course or course correction or what have you, And that's one of the things that I put in the video of thinking outside the box. And I do that a lot. That's probably where it's made me the most money, is when I do something that everybody else isn't doing. Because if I'm doing something that everybody else isn't doing, there's very little competition, right? And I can remember in the early stages of, I was fresh out of college and I was working, developing websites, e-commerce sites and stuff like that for bigger companies. And when I decided that I was going to get into the arena myself and sell on the venues, at that time, eBay was basically a classified ad thing. And if you sold, the venue had a lot of trust at that point in time. If you bought something, then you would make payment. And a lot of times it was by check at that time before PayPal come along. But you would send a check to me for the part you wanted to buy, and then I in turn would send you what you ordered. And like I say, there was so much trust at that time. Everybody trusted each other. And you had to work on good faith, and I had really good luck with it, I'll be honest with you. When I first started putting up the small engine parts from the different catalogs that each company that I had dealt with, that I would still deal with, that friends of mine in the business said, "You're crazy. That's not where the money is. The money is, creating apps and creating," which, let me tell you something, I got friends that were early in the business when it came to the apps and made really, really good money. And, hindsight is 20/20, right? But anyhow, they thought I was crazy. They said, why put yourself in that position, where you could fail? Whereas keep doing what you're doing, and that's creating awesome websites and e-commerce platforms for the bigger companies that are trying to get online. Because at that time, a lot of your bigger companies weren't online. They hadn't thought about it. They had like a mail order where they would send a catalog to you. And I mean, I can remember as a kid with Sears and Roebuck, you know, coming into, Thanksgiving, Black Fridays, which we didn't have a lot of Black Fridays, but you'd lay there for hours on the floor. I did. Looking through that Sears and Roebuck catalog, circling all the things that you liked. And they had fishing equipment. They even had boats with outboards and stuff. That was how they did it, and you were looking at 6 to 8 weeks out once you sent the money to them with your order. But they were starting to see the head would change. Wait a minute, we need to be part of this movement. And so I continued doing that as well. I mean, I developed some really nice sites for a couple of different companies. I'm not going to say who, but they're big companies. And worked on this on the side as a beginning. But I saw where there was potential. And all that it required on me was my time, my energy. I already had the skills. I just needed to take the time and the energy to learn what each venue expected of me, how they wanted me to upload my parts instead of doing it one by one, which would be crazy. I would upload the whole catalog. But again, it took time and energy. And a lot of people at that point in time, if they didn't have the IT skills, but they were thinking the same thing, a lot of them couldn't afford to hire someone like me to do it for them. Because in the early days, eBay was the only one out there that was doing it. And for you guys that are trying to figure out what I'm talking about, it's similar to what Craigslist is, even today. Except for Craigslist is more localized. And I can remember when Craigslist come on, when they first started doing the classified ad sections and stuff. They were trying to be a lot like eBay, but they stayed where they were at. They concentrated on getting into more towns, cities, and so forth. But eBay was the first one to offer this, And then I can remember Amazon as a college bookstore, basically, looking at eBay and trying to figure out how can we compete and be like eBay, But then Amazon got into music, like, CDs, and they started adding more product lines. They were a seller. They were an online selling venue. But they were selling their own wares, okay? The only thing that at that time that they were allowing other people to be on their venue to sell was simply college books. But they had kind of gotten to, Browser had kind of gotten to the point of where, they wanted to get bigger and better. And it was kind of like, the early days of McDonald's and Burger King and all them, making the perfect hamburger. eBay was making the perfect hamburger. And the way they did that is I'm not going to say they didn't have any skin in the game, because they did, but they weren't selling any products. They were selling a service to people like me, if I wanted to list my stuff on their venue, then I had to agree to pay them so much to list it, and then so much when it's sold. And that's how they made their money. And they reinvested a lot of their money in the early years to continue to make it better and better. And they did make it better and better. But they started having problems, like anywhere. You started having problems with people that were ordering things and not paying for it, to people paying for it and not getting their items that they ordered. And so eBay was told they need to clean up their venue. And that's when they come back with positive and negative feedback. So if a person started getting negatives, you stay clear of them because they were a bad apple. And if you had so many negatives, a lot of times they would boot you off the platform. But I would say Amazon was the second one that we started uploading catalogs to, when they kind of opened it up to certain sellers. And we did well with Amazon. I'm not going to lie to you, but it was a whole different venue. You had to learn a whole different set of rules, right from how to upload, how they expected you to upload, to... But with Amazon, the one thing that we soon realized was, if we had an item that we were selling a lot of, Amazon, as a seller as well, would try to go to our vendors and open accounts and try to compete directly on, their venue. I mean, it was theirs, right? But it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair like eBay. eBay didn't sell anything except for a service. They provided a venue. They provided, different things to help you through the process, right? And then I can remember when Sears come on and invited us to list on their venue. And then Walmart followed, asked us again, so we went to them. And there's a few other ones out there that, are less known. But had I not thought outside the box in the beginning of, this might be a great idea, we couldn't have had the run that we had. Once the Chinese got on, it kind of sabotaged the whole market. But what would I consider as was it a good idea, or did it fail? And it was a great idea. We were going from like 200,000 the first year to 400,000 to 700,000 the following year, 900,000. I mean, that's the progression we were going. So absolutely, it was a good idea. But the goal of that video was to get you guys thinking that, is there things that are untapped? Any business is a problem solver, right? As a business, you try to find things that people are having problems with, and you supply the fix, okay? Install engine repair, just the simplest form. My weed eater doesn't run. Give it to me. Tinkle, tinkle, voila, it runs now, and I get paid. That's the simplest form of problem solving. Some people offer it as a service of problem solving, of businesses needing updated, ways to collect money, to newer PCs, to newer programs, to updating like QuickBooks. I can remember when we first started with them, they didn't have hardly anything except for a small accounting thing, and look how big they've become. But for all these ideas, somebody was thinking outside the box. They made a change. Now, if everybody's doing it, you're kind of hitting a headwind. But if you can offer something that nobody else in your area is offering. See, I may be offering something in my area that's working that you haven't thought of. So I thought, well, if I put up a, thinking outside the box video, that you guys would say, okay, try this, try this, try this, and that's, the channel has always been about helping each other, not about me. So you need to challenge yourself to look outside of what you're doing. And are there ways that your business, doesn't matter if you're in small engine repair or retail, what have you, are there things out there that you could be doing that you haven't tried yet? And a lot of people are fearful of changing. They keep thinking that, well, it worked, 2 years ago. I don't understand why it doesn't work this year. But instead of changing and adding in something different that nobody else has got, maybe a product line that nobody else in your area is carrying if you're a retail outlet. But if you're unwilling to change, you're going to get left along the wayside. Just give that some thought. On that note, guys, have a great Thursday. I'm going to try finishing up that generator that video today. Get that up. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. We have a lot of great people on this channel that are willing to help each other. You guys have a great day.